Hello there, people of the internet. My name is Oburu, and this is Political Headache. I am in the studio with Umundi Ochoka, the man with the experience, the mathematician, the economist. So let's talk about the fact that Raila is gone, the man who dominated Kenyan opposition politics for 4 decades, who survived detention, tear gas, 5 presidential campaigns, passed away in October 2025. That is something that everybody knows. Now, here is what makes our discussion here genuinely interesting. Oburu apparently has inherited the party, but he also inherited a problem. ODM is simultaneously in government and also in opposition. It's defending President Ruto's administration while trying to maintain credibility as the people's alternative. Ochoka. That's a political contradiction that would give more politicians a lot of migraines, right? So what is going on now? What is happening? Do we want to say that Ruto and Oburu Odinga, do they want the party's control? Do they want the parliamentary control? Do they want regional control? Do they want executive access? And perhaps most importantly, family legitimacy. So this is what we are talking about today. Now, what happened is, and this was in the media, actually on the Nation newspaper, is that Oburu is trying to come up with a gang. Come up with an organ. What is he trying to come up with?
The superstructure of maintaining the contradiction, or at least surviving the contradiction. Why I call it a superstructure is because ODM is going to be in a crisis that parties like Ford Kenya, parties like KANU, parties like KADU, parties like PNU have already gone through in the past. When you look at history, reaches a point where a party that had so much prominence gets to a point, especially when the patriarch is gone, Raila is gone, and there's a big power vacuum that has been created as a result. What then happens is, because most parties are also personality cults, they are very much driven by a ball. So usually that's the centerpiece of a party. And the philosophy of the party is also derived from that very personality, which in this case for ODM was Raila Odinga. And the control was so uptight that there was no room for sort of like a devolved operationalization of power. In other words, there were no other centerpieces where if there is a crisis in the gravity in the center, then the party can still sustain itself. So what we are seeing right now, I think what Oburu Odinga in his inheritance of ODM party is trying to do is to try and avoid the propping up of power, kingmakers. Because kingmakers are now coming up. There's of course the Winnie Odinga, the daughter. There's of course Babu Wino. There's of course the team led by Junet and Joho and Wanga. So there's a bit of people trying to measure up. And if you look at it, like let's say, for example, when Jaramogi died and Ford Kenya was there and now people are struggling, how do we move on from there? That's the same thing that happened when Kijana Wamalwa died. And people are wondering because that was the Western, the originally Western province party. And many Luya leaders are now scrambling in terms of, can we measure up? Can we tie the laces of Kijana Wamalwa? I think that's the same thing that the government, the Oburu Odinga is trying to at least avoid. But number two is, the bigger headache was, I think this is the puzzle that many analysts are also trying to understand. What exactly was the sentiment and the power, of the operant power of Raila Odinga? Did he have a declaration that in any case, because I want to imagine that Mzee have already known that even if he was not supposed to die in October, there was the transitioning of him getting out of politics and then passing the baton to another person. So what was his exact sentiment? And how can ODM honor that sentiment? So I think Oburu Odinga is trying to, first of all, try and honor that sentiment, and also the contradiction I was saying is, how do you maintain that you are in the opposition and you're also still in the government? And it is not official. Like, for example, in Germany or Italy, when there was no clear majority and the government and the opposition had to come up with a structure, and it is formalized. In this case, Ruto and ODM is not actually agreeing that they are formalized to be part of the government. Like, let's say the Grand Coalition government was formalized.
Is that so, though?
Well, that is what appears on the front end. But
one of the things that also is bedeviling the same party is that I think that most of the agreement that happened between ODM and UDA at the time, could you say, was just between the two men? And therefore, a lot of things and a lot of details were left out or remained with the two men, such that in the absence of Raila, now people do not really understand. But one of the questions that I'm also wondering is that Raila Odinga made a will, and part of the will that at least is in the public domain is that he was supposed to be interred or buried within 72 hours of his passing on. What obviously there is other things in the will, such as estate inheritance, that we are not privy to and we shouldn't be privy to.
Right.
But it is interesting that, and when we were talking about the issue of party ownership, we have always known that Kenyan parties are owned by individuals. ODM was bought from
Position trenches,
Manyara by Raila Odinga, and probably the money came from his pocket. We know that UDA is a party that belongs and is in the pocket of the President Ruto. We know that Wamunyoro bought a party, and those certificates are actually under their beds. It does not go to anybody else. So I am just wondering, when Raila was writing a will for himself, I am thinking that ODM is one of his properties that he needed to have willed out. But then now it appears that probably he couldn't will it out just like the rest of his estate. But what, in his mind, what was he leaving ODM to?
Two or four.
Was he leaving it for Winnie Odinga? Was it leaving it for Oburu Odinga? Because one of the problems that are now coming out, and this is something that's circling around, is that the Odinga family feel that part of their estate, which is ODM, has now changed hands and is gone into another family. And that family is the family of Oburu Odinga. Remember, we have Winnie on the side of Raila Odinga, and we have a gentleman that is now coming up very strongly in the name of Jaoko Oburu.
Yes.
Okay? And Jaoko Oburu has been doing a lot of rounds. Suddenly, after Raila's demise, he's suddenly trying to get known to people. And what is happening right now is that Oburu Odinga, well, obviously there are people that will go before him, even people that are more stronger than him, like us, can go before him. But also he stands, he's old. And people would say that, okay, if you put a 30-year-old and an 82-year-old, 80-something-year-old, this one will go faster before. So if Oburu were then to go, why is Jaoko suddenly coming out very strongly? And I think this is the tug of war that is there.
Yes.
And I'm wondering why Raila Odinga did not actually say that in the event that I am no more, where does the party go to? And also, remember that some years ago, some few short years ago, there was an event in Luo Nyanza, and Ida Odinga spoke to speak. And he said something to the effect that Raila Odinga has probed so many Luo men that can be able to take over from him when he goes. And he said that, and she said that even Mbadi is one of the people that can, and the other day, Mbadi said in Kisumu, I don't know where he was, that he can actually fill the shoe of Raila Odinga. He said that he cannot fit them. I don't know. There was some language that he was using there. So that is the issue that I'm finding there. But now, what do you think is the immediate threat for Oburu Odinga? Because we are going to be talking about the things, the fact that the coalition Oburu has assembled represent roughly 2.5 million voters across Luo Nyanza, the Coast and the Gusii regions. So we are going to talk about these people. But so what do you think?
I think Oburu is trying to galvanize what also is the old political formula of tribal mathematics. The reason why I say that, if you look at the people that Oburu is trying to assemble, the team, there are 7 people. They are from regions that were earmarked as ODM regions. Very much so. I've not seen anybody from Central, interestingly. There's only there's no person from Northeastern per se. There is, of course, from Coast, there's from Western, there's from Nyanza, a few from Nyanza.
Yeah.
And then there is the very brilliant idea that you brought, the factor of Jaoko Oburu, which is very interesting because for a long time he was just part of Iala. That was sort of seemingly what was enough for him. And given the unanticipated scenario that we ran into when Raila died, that created a need for him to leap even further. In other words, as a political inheritance. And then therefore there's a fracture that is very apparent when we look at the greater Jaramogi family, because ODM, as you have rightly said, used to belong to Baba Odinga, to Raila. And it is very much so likely that he would have left it in the hands of Winnie. Winnie, who is also in Iala, just as much as Jaoko, right? So this is not communicated, or at least we do not know whether that was explicitly, because I would imagine if ODM was so much a factor for Raila Odinga, then it would have explicitly also indicated, just like the 72 hours are very specific and explicit. So I'm wondering whether that is still the basis of the tug of war happening within the Jaramogi family, where power has sort of shifted to Oburu Odinga, given that is now the patriarch of the party, or the patriarch and of the family. So what I'm trying to see is Oburu is trying to galvanize his bargaining chip. For a long time, Raila used to bargain because of, let's say, 4 factors. One is charm. He could charm his way throughout the country. Number 2, he had the numbers, the tribal numbers that I earlier mentioned, the tribal political numbers. Number 3, he was one person who was very good at negotiations. And then number 4, he had a party that was also very powerful across and popular across the nation. So these 4 factors are things that Oburu does not really have. Him as a person, he does not really have those. He has simply inherited them. And therefore, the bigger crisis is if you inherit those very important political factors, how do you maintain, or how do you participate with them so that power is not grabbed from you, or the greater ODM political force is not winning off? So I think that is what the assembly is. Because if you look at this is also Akina Simbarati, there's also the Mombasa governor. These are people who hope to bring at least some numbers or some strategic numbers into ODM that he can also use in the event, because I'm also seeing a possibility of them redrafting or re-agreeing on what Raila agreed with Ruto. Because that very much is not very clear whether they explicit said in the event of my demise, or if this and this happens before 2027, then this is the right direction. So I'm thinking they are also anticipating if there is a moment before 2027 or after 2027 where they will have to sit on the table together, then what do I bring to the table? So I think that is what he's trying to maybe anticipate and approach.
Okay, let's go. The other question before we go, people of the internet, we're going to go shortly to the list that Oburu has put together to try and fend off people like Babu Wino and co. It's interesting because when he was in Mombasa, when Winnie stood up to say a few things and then Oburu jumped on stage, he said that these are things that we can actually go back home and agree as a family. But then now that the event in Mombasa is under the bridge, we expected that probably they would go back home and
iron things out,
and iron things out, and therefore we would see Winnie in this list. So what is your assumption, that did they go back as a family and speak, or what do you think happened?
I think Oburu is very strategic because he knows, number one, Winnie respected her father very much, and at some point would at least compromise on a few things. Number 2, he knows very well that Winnie does not agree with him, at least fundamentally, on what direction do we take after Baba has died. So there they depart very far. So he's trying to at least, I think it's sort of like a manipulation, because what Winnie raised were actually party politics, right?
Party politics or party constitution?
Or
the same thing?
On the same thing. Because constitution are very much hinged on the politics of the party. So those were raised legitimately in a forum that is very political and that's very party-like.
Okay.
You understand? So I would have imagined that there would have been a platform or an opportunity to address these issues just as much as they can be addressed at a family level. Now, the reason why family level or family manipulation is being brought very subtly is because he knows that if they go back to at family level, at a very atomic family level, then one, they can persuade Winnie to chill out.
Okay.
And then number two, they can also agree on a transition. That after all, I'm old, and very soon I'll be giving the mantle to you.
Okay.
So while you wait, just give me the chance to try and captain this ship to at least a proper point where there's no more crisis. Let's just get through this crisis fast. I think that's usually what happens when you come to your father. Let's say your father has died, and there's this parcel of land and this number of cattle, and the sons and daughters are like, these were our father's properties, but the uncles are like, okay, this was my brother, so I can also just as much owe. Usually that is the point of crisis within families, and that's why you find a great rebellion from sons and daughters of this patriarch who has died, because they feel that their wealth and inheritance is at crisis. And this other person may also feel entitled because he's the left older brother of Raila Odinga. So I think maybe that's the power play that is happening with.
Do you think that Oburu thinks that he should inherit Raila's estate?
Yes, he does. If you look at the way Oburu Odinga has operated, him as himself, like I mentioned in one of our earlier episodes, he does not have any political bargaining capital. He's not a man of himself. He cannot stand on himself, and I think that's one of the biggest headaches he has, because he has been given something too big for him to handle. Yeah,
and a lot of repeat dogs around him.
Yes.
So let's look at them, by the way, one by one. First, let's look at Opiyo Wandayi, the man that he thinks. Opiyo Wandayi obviously is the cabinet minister for energy and petroleum, sworn in on August 8th, 2024. Before that, he was National Assembly minority leader. The man has been ODM secretary for political affairs since 2014 and has won Ugunja constituency 3 consecutive times. His declared net worth sits at about 530 million shillings, partly accumulated from 14 years at British American Tobacco. So the question is, what does Wandayi give Oburu?
I think Wandayi gives him sort of like the nerve access, because energy CS is one of the fundamental cabinet secretaries, if we are to look at it like that, because it's very lucrative, one, and then it's a fundamental aspect of running a country. Energy is just very fundamental. So I think Wandayi gives him a direct access to President Ruto, sort of like a cornerstone in the government. So if I want to talk to Ruto, this is the man to talk to, or this is my bridge. If I want any relationship with the state or the government of the day, then this is the man to reach out to. So I think he's also trying to also provide a sort of like we are a part of you. We are not very far from you. So if you have Wandayi as part of my team and he's also your cabinet secretary, then we are one and the same thing. So it's a direct access to the president.
Yeah. All right, people of the internet, I hope that you're enjoying this episode very much. And I just had a break to tell you about my new book. Everybody says that there is no job, and that is true. Also, that was me 10 years ago. The problem is that everybody is trying to get a job in their town, in their city, in their marketplace. They ask friends for jobs, mothers call uncles, uncles call brothers, but there are no jobs. Let me tell you what no one is telling you. Jobs migrated online. What I actually mean is there are many, many jobs around the world and there is no one to do them except you. I work for Americans myself. I work for Europeans. I work for the Chinese. I work for the Australians. I work for the Canadians. And so, because I have done so much for myself, I said to myself, you know what? I should compile what I've been doing for the last 15 years. So in 2024, I wrote a digital book called Goldmine 18 Hustles for Africans. And then in 2025, AI came. People say AI is taking away our jobs. And for me, I'm going to say false. There are actually AI jobs. Jobs are not being taken by AI, but there are new jobs online that are there because of AI. Now, mimi ni nani? I created more jobs. And for now, in my new book, we have 25 online and offline jobs that you can leverage on if you do not have a job. So in this powerful volume 2, I share 25 new actionable online hustles specifically researched and tailored for Africans. My new book provides clear step-by-step guidance drawing from my extensive experience and research, including the mistakes I've made and lessons I've learned over the 15 years that I have worked online. So, what can you do online? You can become an executive assistant for busy folks in Europe, America, Canada, and get paid for tasks like watching videos and taking online surveys. Okay? You can build a lot of things, build a business as a virtual assistant, start an e-commerce shop without capital, be an affiliate marketer, or you can also become actually an English tutor and tens of AI jobs. If you have a job, that is fine. But I also know that you can buy this book for that brother, for that sister, for that mother, for that cousin, for that husband who is watching Netflix all day at home. Buy it for your friend who is always asking for cash, that friend. Now, all the information is on the description below. You can also inbox me, you can WhatsApp me, or go to my website, which is odurjigero.co.ke. And now, back to programming. And then secondly, Junet Mohammed. When Wandai left for cabinet, Junet steps into the minority leader role, but his real value isn't in the title, it is proximity to the late Raila Odinga. Junet was one of the only two people who accompanied Raila to the famous 2018 handshake with Uhuru Kenyatta. The other was Raila's daughter, Winnie. Junet is a Kenyan Somali who speaks fluent Luo and has won 3 consecutive elections in predominantly Luo Sona East constituency. Well, obviously, that's not a small achievement. His net worth hovers around 540 million shillings. He carries the institutional memory of how Raila ran things, the networks, the relationships, the strategies. He's claimed that Raila left him the machine that will form the next government. What then does Junet give?
Junet is a very funny character because many people who have sort of studied him may think that he has nothing to bring to the table. And strategically, perhaps not. But I think just like what you have mentioned, there is a shadow. When you have been close, the shadow at the footfall of a big giant, then you have even a better view of his son. Yeah, you can see his light, you can see his vulnerabilities. And I think that is what you call the institutional memory of Junet Mohammed. Him as a politician, I've always felt that he's not that shrewd at all. Maybe behind the curtains, he has things that he can pull or things that he knows, especially about the part.
But he survives.
Yes, but he survives.
Somebody who survives is not shrewd.
Yes, by chance.
Yeah.
By chance, and also by happenstance, like a strategy happenstance, where you find yourself with the king, and you're always dining together, and you're always loyal. Another thing, and then also you have money.
Yeah.
And then also you bring what is called the Somali value, the Somali face value, and then complicating that very bigger advantage is in Suna East. Suna East is predominantly Luo, but then so now him as a Somalia penetrating that and then giving ODM the Somali face has been also a factor. So he's not generally somebody you would say, like, let's say Wanga, who is very much at the forefront and fighting and vibrant, or Millie Odhiambo. These are people who are, when you look at them, you can see even how much they fight in parliament, how the bills they contribute to. Their face is already on the table so much, on our screen so much. So you can say that that's the value. But maybe Junet is very much softer power in terms of how the operations of ODM and how maybe Baba did his things. So those things place him at a very strategic place within the ODM. And I think that's maybe one of the things that Oburu Odinga is trying to tap into.
Yeah, okay. And then we have Abdul Somad Nasir, governor of Mombasa. I wonder whether governor of Mombasa and Joho, because a lot of people say that he's perhaps the most important ally outside of Louis Nyanza. Not Joho?
I would have expected Joho, and I'm wondering why, but I'll see why maybe he left Joho out, having already picked Opiyo Wandayi. Because when you look at the cost of politics of, let's say, even ODM and generally the cost of politics as an infrastructure, you find that Joe and Nasir, Governor Nasir, are like they're brothers, they're twin brothers in essence. Like if you mention one, the other name pops up. So Oburu taking Governor Nasir is just basically the other face value of Joho. because they all have money. They are all the mouthpieces of the coast of Mombasa politics, even extending as far as Kilifi and Lamu and all that. So I think maybe that's the reason why he picked him instead of Joho, having already picked CS Wandai, who are in government.
Oh, okay. But what does Abdul Nasir give him though?
Well, there's about between 700 to 900,000 votes from coastal politics, and then Nasir is also a rich man. He's a rich man, so he can be able to.
He gets this money from whom? From the brother, from the father, Sharif Nasir.
Yeah, from the money they've inherited in the family, their businesses, and of course having being the mouthpiece of coastal politics. So I think he can use that as a beginning chip.
Yeah, but something that he also has is that he has one of the biggest radio stations.
Yeah, the Rahman, yes.
An Islamic radio station broadcasting across the coast. That's a direct communication channel to Muslim voters.
Yes.
Nasir personally proposed Oburu's name as acting party leader at the NEC meeting. So probably it also goes back to friendship.
It's a reward system.
This is the man that propped me up to be where I am. And therefore, he should be the one having my back. That's probably the reason why he would go for Oburu would go for him. And I think that Joho is a bit wishy-washy after Raila's death. And I'm not sure what he's looking for. Probably just to protect his...
To survive.
Yes, to survive. But he's not really interested in he's not panicky like let's say Abdul Swamad.
No, he's not, because Joe can survive on both ends, and he's one person who, if you look at the political language and the political language of Joho over the last year, especially after Raila died, he has been so much defending the fact that Mimi Siezi betrayed Raila. He's constantly regurgitated that. Why is he doing that?
Yes.
So that means that he's trying to, because for a long time, especially after Joho was appointed as the CS, many people started speculating that he was one of the people who were actually betraying Raila. People who Ruto has reached out to before Raila even confirmed their move. So he was trying to distance himself from from the speculation that he could have been one of the betrayers of Raila. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then we have Gladys Wanga. Yes, the governor of Homa Bay and now ODM national chairperson, the first woman to hold the position in party history. Her career is marked by a first female Secretary General of Kenyatta University Student Union, first Homa Bay woman representative, first female governor in the Lake region. She's achieved 235% increase in county revenue within her first year as governor, which earned her recognition among the Kenya's best performing governors in 2023. What does she give Wanga? What does she give Oburu?
Oburu, because Homa Bay politics is very volatile, and it's sort of like the juice of Nyanza politics. The juice to mean that it excites the political tension of Nyanza politics, where that's the seat of ODM. But besides that, Wanga is a very good mobilizer. I think that explains why she has risen over the ranks over the years, from student leadership to ODM to being the fastest of many achievements within the party. But I think also there is a political play of who is likely to inherit ODM leadership. She was one of the people who were actually being propped as possibly capable of taking after Raila Odinga. And then being a woman, then that's also the gender card that play there. And then, of course, there is also the basket of votes that Homa Bay has, which is then also a factor in terms of when you look at what she brings to the table for Oburu Odinga. So those are factors put together that Oburu is trying to eye. And then I think also to diffuse the tension, because if you are an enemy of Gladys Wanga and you're within the party, you are not very lucky. Yeah, she's not a small person the way people might imagine.
I was also thinking that she would have been the person that would actually help with the sitting down the Odinga and Oburu family and helping them to navigate these tumultuous waters during this time that people are thinking each and every family, Odinga's family is
going through.
It's sort of saying what baba yetu mbona mnachukua.
But except Wanga is not very diplomatic. I think that diplomacy side of her is not usually coming out. She's extreme. She's extreme. She's one of those people who, this is my position. She's a soldier, a philosophical soldier. So it's very hard for her to come to the middle for a compromise, which is needed for such difficult situation that ODM has found itself
Perhaps
in.
that is the reason why she cannot sit down with her own deputy Mapanga
Yes.
and agree on the way forward, especially in the elections of Kasipul today.
Right.
So, but then apart from the votes, what I'm not sure what she does. But anyway, let's go to Simbarati, the governor of Kisii County and ODM deputy party leader. The Gusii community has approximately 960,000 registered voters across Kisii and Nyamira counties. Arati won his 2022 race with a lot of votes, almost half of those. His political style, as we have always seen, is aggressive. They don't call him Simba for nothing. He had the physical altercations with the rival Silvanus Osoro. But the way, what happened to Silvanus Osoro?
He went really silent. I don't know what happened. Maybe they're eating nicely.
At the feet of the government.
Yes.
On the table.
So for Rati, what comes up clearly is, for a long time, there's a time, especially after 2017, that Kisii vote started to feel less part of ODM. I don't know whether that's the same opinion that you hold.
I think largely Kisii has been largely political orphans. They have
for a long
had
time.
a strong leader coming from that community, and therefore what they have always done is that they have been that beautiful woman that is at the market
this year,
who is gonna take her home. So we'll have a lot of people circling around. For example, Uhuru Kenyatta would be there looking for those votes
through Matiang'i.
Yeah, Matiang'i will be, through Matiang'i, and then we will also have Raila Odinga always calling the small boys around there to be with him. So I think that Kisii Oburu is.
He's also wooing the beautiful woman.
Yeah, the beautiful woman.
Yes.
And getting them. And I think sometimes politics is about who is seen to be with me.
Perceptively.
The perception part of politics. Who is with me? And so even the people, for example, when you see people walking around somebody and you're asking, so who is your friend? And then some people would not attack you because they know that you're friends with this person. You see, like the other day I was saying that it would be very difficult for somebody to touch Owedi because they know he has got a direct line to the president. So that's not somebody that you want to go and probably attack. So I think most of these people are just people that are are larger than life. We see Gladys Wanga is larger than life over there in Homa Bay. We have Abdul Swamad Nasir, very big in Mombasa, the son of the Moi era politician Sharif Nasir, and then we have the one of the people that are been very big in Kisii, such as who. Simbarati.
But what complicates also Simbarati, because Simbarati went publicly, I don't know if I remember correctly, he went public to declare support for Matiang'i. Was that the case?
To declare support for Matiang'i?
Yes.
Simbarati?
Yes.
But then I don't think that means anything, because what I've realized with government, with politicians, is that they can come out to support somebody, but just as a bait.
Oh yeah, okay. It's a rage bait also.
Yes, it's a bait. So that, okay, why are you supporting him? I thought you were with me, bro. So what is it
Invite
that you
a conversation.
Yeah. What do you want so that you can support us instead of this Matiang'i guy? So these days, I don't believe in politicians coming out and saying that I support this person. They might just be supporting somebody so that they can drive that thorn in your eye. Say, look, I am hurting you. What do you want to speak?
Do you want to speak? Talk now. Yes.
Yeah. But then interestingly, Elijah Bonyo Oburu, Dr. Oburu's son, serving as his official aide. Interesting.
Because that is also one person that has not been in at least in this political scene for a while.
Yeah.
So he's just coming up as...
those are the things that are probably people like Winnie.
Yeah, are very hurt about.
And Winnie and Ida are looking at us saying, what is going on? Suddenly my husband is dead, my father is dead, and you are coming out so strongly. Like you've been squatting somewhere waiting patiently for him to die. Yeah.
So I don't know. Elijah Oburu comes up as a personal aide, sort of, but that's a very soft way of introducing your son to politics. In other words, political inheritance. When somebody is your PA, they're almost always sort of like your shadow, in essence.
Was Winnie Odinga Raila's PA?
Yes, and that's why she's hurt. Because in the absence of the giant, the shadow that is left now sprouts to become its own tree. So they're thinking, could Oburu Odinga doing the same thing? And if he's doing the same thing, then that means that whatever I was supposed to inherit is no longer mine, at least not outright. Yes.
Okay. Is this going to help them?
Perhaps.
We now have Winnie roaming around there with Babu Owino and Sefuna. And it's interesting that Sefuna is not one of them too.
Yes. Especially as a Secretary General of ODM. Yes.
He's not one of them. So obviously, the coalition is built for very specific purposes. Wandai handles executive branch, access. Junet controls parliamentary operations. Nasir, Wanga, and Arati deliver regional vote blocks or support, at least, from before the elections. From Coast, Homa Bay, and Gusii, respectively. Ruth Odinga is there, interestingly.
And not Winnie Odinga.
So then, what then? For me, I'm not surprised that Ruth Odinga is there.
Why?
Are you surprised?
No, I'm not surprised because Oburu Odinga and Ruth Odinga are political benefactors of Raila Odinga. They've almost always hanged on their brother's coat.
Yes.
So they're trying to survive.
So now what is happening is we are the ones that have been helping our brother in politics.
Yes.
And now that
it's our time.
Oburu and Ruth will be on the same table. You know, taking over half the loaf that the brother left on the table. You know, but then Winnie wants to carry the loaf away.
Yeah, no way.
Okay.
Yes.
So together they are all defending the wall. They form the wall defending ODM's participation in President Ruto's broad-based government, and that is the central political challenge here. Oburu's team must simultaneously defend their government partnership and maintain opposition credibility. It's a balancing act. Raila managed through sheer force of personality. Whether its coalition can replicate that is the open question. So the patronage math is significant. Between Nasir's Mombasa budget, Wanga's Homa Bay resources, and Arati's Kisii machinery, Oburu's allies control billions in county-level spending. That creates job, contracts, and loyalty networks that keep the coalition functional beyond mere ideological agreement. Oburu himself has staked out an ambitious position for 2027. He's demanding nothing less than the deputy president's slot in any coalition arrangement.
So that's the ultimate goal.
Yes. So if he becomes, I would not advise you to take this guy as a deputy president. Yeah, he doesn't have, I don't know, man.
So
to sway the Luo, probably.
Yes. To vote a certain way.
But I wanted to say something that I can't say on the podcast.
Chill out. We're saying that off camera, off record.
If we have to go, this is Oburu, if we have to go for a lower position, it must not be lower than number 2. Obviously, that's a big ask.
So what does that mean exactly? Is he proposing himself, or is also positioning himself for somebody else of his choosing?
But assuming they have not made they are having a broad-based government right now.
All right.
And at some point, they are going to have a coalition.
Yes.
For 2027. And because if Oburu remains the party leader throughout that negotiation of a coalition government going to 2027, and Ruto remains the president and the party leader for UDA.
So automatically,
that means that we are picking Oburu to be president and Ruto to be vice president, or vice versa. And I think that's what it comes to. Yeah. So I don't know. So there is also the ethnic composition, which is also calculated. The coalition includes Somali, Junet, coastal representation, Nasi, Gusii, Rati, and obviously the Luo core.
How comes there's no Kamba vote there?
Because I am just thinking that Oburu is also just picking the low-hanging fruits. I don't think that he's going out to scavenge.
It's just like, this is all I have.
Yeah. And I think, like everybody has said, Oburu is used to soft life. And the softness of that life just includes the people that are already around the table. So for him to bolt out and go get for other people that just are stronger. And he does not need to go to Kambani. to have a pact with Ruto. He does not give to go outside of his comfort zone to have a pact with Ruto. Yeah, he already has a very big one, which is the Luo. He has the Coast, and he has Gusii. So he doesn't need a lot. That would be working too hard.
And even this, especially the perception of it, the political imagery of it.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Mr. Ochoka. Thank you very much, people of the internet, for joining me today to talk about Oburu Odinga and the calculations that he's trying to have. Whether he wants to fight for his son, Jaoko Oburu, is something else, or he just wants to fight for his skin. Thank you very much, people of the internet. Please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Hit on that notification bell so that when there is a podcast like this, you're the first one to see it. Remember to follow us on social media. We are on Instagram. We are on TikTok. We are on Facebook and any other place where you get your social media dose of the day. Until another episode, bye for now.